Hello all, welcome. My name's Joshua Ross. I'm the enrollments manager here at Fourthrev and manage the data analytics career accelerator that we're going to be partially talking about today, but importantly, focusing on our panel discussion and topic of demystifying data analytics. And specifically, is this career path right for you in 2025? As we have stepped into a new year, many of us are setting goals for personal and professional growth. So today's webinar is all about helping you decide if data analytics is the career shift or upskilling opportunity that aligns with your aspirations. So we'll just touch on an agenda now and what we're going to cover in the next hour. So I'll give a brief overview of what is data analytics and why does it matter. We'll look at an example of a real journey of a learner, Joel, who's joined us today, who's completed the Data Analytics Career Accelerator. So he'll talk about his experience alongside other panelists. We will give you an overview into the Data Analytics Career Accelerator and how it can align with you achieving your goals in data analytics. And then finally, we will have a Q&A session as well with the panelists, and depending on the amount of questions, our resident enrollment advisor, Niels, will hang around for a bit longer and answer any further questions you have specific to the program. Next slide, please. So an introduction, let's meet our panel. Team, I'll ask you all to turn your camera on if you can, and a brief introduction of who you are. I'll start from the left. Joel.
Hello. Yes, so I'm Joel. I'm a business data analyst at a wealth management company in Burgess Hill, so not too far from London. I completed the Career Accelerator in December 2023, and have been working and progressing my career since then.
Thanks, Joel. Kate.
Hi, I'm Kate McDermott. I'm a director at a niche recruitment consultancy called Omnis Partners. We specialise in data, AI and product. And I've been working in this industry for nearly 19 years, covering the entire data lifecycle from engineering through science and through to analytics. So I have a very broad knowledge of the various shades of data roles, and have worked across most industries, primarily here in the UK.
Fantastic. Great to have you both. Claire.
Hi everyone, I manage the coaching team here at Fourthrev and I'm one of the coaches working with our sort of active learners. So my background is I've worked in career coaching for too many years. I don't want to share how long I've worked in career coaching, and it really sort of get driven by supporting people reaching their career goals, and like just get such a buzz when they get there, and like there's ups and downs in that journey, but working with people through that is just fantastic.
Thanks, Claire. And finally, Niels.
Hello, everyone. My name is Niels. I am originally from the Netherlands, moved to the UK a couple of years ago and started here as a enrollments advisor for the LSE Data Analytics Career Accelerator program. I'm the first point of contact for people considering this program to answer any questions they might have, but also go through the program, its intended outcomes, and the practical sides, and help them in the enrollments process. I've been working here for 2.5 years now, and really enjoying changing people's lives with this Career Accelerator program.
Thanks, Niels. Next slide, please. So again, brief overview, keen to get to the panel discussion. We can discuss all of this in greater detail with some of the experts that we have, and get different perspectives. But firstly, why is data analytics a career game changer? We can see here with the graph that we have that since late 2022, whilst overall tech jobs have been reducing, data job postings have remained fairly consistent. So when we think about it, it's a fast growing field with a really high demand that doesn't look like it's slowing down. And importantly, there's a really wide application that you can use data analytics for. You'd be hard pressed to find many industries that don't require data analysts or aren't moving towards data. Of course, your typical ones: finance, healthcare, marketing, retail, manufacturing. There's a whole range. Tech, obviously. And we get candidates from all different walks of life that are looking to obtain the skills to apply to whatever they do. And of course, an important one that's always a question asked from an enrollments perspective on our end, but there's high salary potential and career stability. So not only is there's solid earning potential once you actually initially enter the industry, but because of the skills shortage, there's great opportunities for rapid career growth as well. I tend to follow a lot of our ex-students on LinkedIn. Nearly on a daily basis, I'm seeing students post job promotions or landing new roles. It's really exciting for any of you that are well researched. On our YouTube or socials, Elodie, who's an ex-student of ours, I think she's had 3 job promotions in 2 years since she completed. So lots of opportunity, permitting you've obtained the right skills and know how to present yourself effectively. We've got a quick interactive moment here for you. We've got a poll. So you'll see there's a function here for you to answer. Here it comes. And the question is, what's your primary motivation for exploring data analytics? Are you looking to change career into data? Do you already deal with data analytics to some extent, or can you see the importance of it in your current career path? So are you looking at career advancement? Are you at the beginning of your career and trying to seek or understand what the first or ideal career path is for you? Or are you just here for more broadly general interest? Give you a brief moment to complete that. And as a reminder, in terms of the Q&A function, you'll see at the bottom, please start to post your questions in there. We will take the time to ask those questions and respond to them in the second half. Thanks, Catherine. Just as a reminder, you posted the question in the chat. If you can, just do it in the Q&A function. That'll make sure your question doesn't get lost. All right. Moving on. And then here are the results. 56% of you are career changes, 27% career advancement, 5% at the beginning of your career, and 12% general interest. Great to hear. All right, a brief overview of the program, the Data Analytics Career Accelerator, that is, and it's unique because we look to take the best of traditional university education, and in that being the London School of Economics and Political Science, but combine it with the best of practical industry-aligned skills. So the program was designed by the LSE, but uniquely in collaboration with Tableau and GitHub, and we look to support each candidate holistically. So we're a careers first program in that we want to see you have that meaningful impact on your career. Again, for the majority of you, whether that's a career change or career advancement. In terms of a brief overview of what's covered, you've got 3 individual courses that you can see. All of these courses are 6 to 7 weeks in length, and they culminate in an individual project, a practical project that you will complete to showcase the skills that you have obtained. Upon completion of those, the final 6 weeks of the 6-month Career Accelerator is a practical project. It's an industry project where you apply everything you've learned to a real-world scenario with a real organization. We've worked with and currently are working with the Bank of England, Zumo, ThoughtWorks. There's a whole pool and variety of employer projects that you'll work on, but a great way for the program to culminate in. These 4 projects will then create a digital portfolio of evidence for you, which allows you to showcase, storytell, visualize the skills, the projects, the experiences you've had to prospective or current employers. And alongside that, you can see the AI learning track. So we've recently incorporated introductions to AI and the impact and how you can work with AI in data analytics throughout the program. When I talk about the holistic approach as well and the support, you get one-on-one executive style career coaching, Claire being one of those. So we'll hear more about that later on. You've got program support from a dedicated student success manager, as well as a course facilitator for academic support, of course. And you'll earn a globally recognized certificate of completion from the LSE. Very excitingly, we are literally about to announce in the coming days a formal pathway to a graduate certificate with the LSE, which is incredibly exciting. So for anyone that completes the 6-month or has completed the 6-month career accelerator, you could elect to in the future complete one further academic capstone, which would allow you to graduate with a formal postgraduate certificate from the LSE, should your circumstances require. That's been 4 years in the making, so we're really excited about that. Next slide, please. See the questions coming through as well in the Q&A, so please keep them coming. Joel, you've given us a little bit of an introduction already, but if you could delve a little bit further into you and your experience, and we'll talk more about it in a moment.
Yeah, of course. So I started off and did a university degree in sports engineering, and I really enjoyed it. But I found that I much more enjoyed the analytical side of engineering than the design side. So when I graduated and started work, I looked for data analytical roles. Started at the company I'm still at now, and after about a year, it was going well, but I thought I wanted some official training, if you like, and a certificate as well to kind of boost everything I'd learned through my degree and work up to that date. I saw the career accelerator. It looked really good for me. It was something I could do alongside work, and had a very practical side to it as well, which is something that has always been really important to me. So completed the career accelerator, as I said, about a year ago now, and have since had kind of various promotions to go with it. It was definitely very useful in my experience.
There you go, another one to add to the list, as I said, of people that have had multiple promotions or impact there. Congratulations as well, Joel. Thanks for sharing that. Well, let's get into the panel discussion. And I've got a few questions that I'm going to ask the team first to get the discussion happening, and then we will get to your questions in the second half of the webinar, so don't stress, we are getting to you. But I might start off just with a question for you, Kate, and your experience in terms of the job market. So in 2025, what sets successful candidates apart in this competitive job market in data?
Yeah, it's a question I get asked all the time, and a very good one. I think whilst the technical experience is really important, it's about demonstrating the value through the technical work that you're delivering. And if you're putting together a CV, or if you're in an interview situation, or if you're going for a promotion, being able to clearly articulate the business impact in commercial terms, whether you're talking about cost savings, revenue generation, or supporting some kind of transformation within the business, making the work that you're doing real to other people and being able to give that context is really key. So the market at the moment is really unusual. There is still a lot of hiring going on, but it's quite slow and it's very candidate rich. So being able to differentiate yourself is really important. And I think bringing your skills and experience to life, and as I say, being able to really explain how the work you've done impacts the business, enables or supports the end user, so your various stakeholders that you might be engaged with, is really key. Companies at the moment are looking to save as much money as possible and obviously generate as much revenue as possible. There's a huge commercial lens on everything. So they're also interested, especially with the emergence of AI, in any kind of work that you've done, whether particularly if you're building proof of concepts or models. If you've done that, how have you taken that into production? How have you actually taken that into a real world commercial environment? And then again, how is that repeatable? How is it scalable? And how do we align that to commercial savings or return on a mass scale? So for most of my career, I've supported analysts who have worked on kind of longer term ad hoc projects. They can be expensive. They can take months and months and months to realize value. Businesses want to see the return on their investment into their data staffing at a faster pace. So as I say, I think being able to actually articulate the impact that you're bringing to a business is really important. And because the market is changing so rapidly, especially if you're coming into an analytical role of some type, if you can demonstrate that you're able to wear multiple hats, or you can apply your skills to multiple scenarios, so you might be supporting the marketing team or the sales team or finance, but being able to apply your kind of foundation of analytical skills to multiple scenarios and to help to solve multiple problems is also really appealing for employers, because they're getting a really rich set of skills. I hope that's helpful.
Most certainly. And I've got to, please team, anyone else jump in if you've got anything to contribute. I have a bit of a follow-up question on what Kate said for Joel, and potentially Claire, you might be able to contribute as well. But then in your experience with the practical nature of the program and to what Kate spoke about in terms of being able to effectively showcase and communicate that, do you have any examples of how you were able to do that yourself?
Yeah, so I completely agree with everything Kate said. Being able to really demonstrate that value is so important. I think to be able to demonstrate value, you really have to have listened to the stakeholders to begin with, and you have to, from my experience, both in the course and in kind of real life, you never get it right first time. There's always a trial and error and testing phase, pilots, and that kind of continuous improvement is so key. That's how you get to the point where you can demonstrate value. And the course was a great example in the employer project. The first time we presented to Transport for London, who was our employer, we kind of missed the mark slightly. You know, acknowledging that was the first stage, and having the support team on the student success manager and again having the employer who were really well versed in exactly what value they were looking for from that project was super useful, because it gave you a position where you could learn and present it next time in the way they were then looking for. I mean, in our experience, we hardly changed any of the analytics or the numbers, but the way we presented was quite different. And it was reflected in the grade and the feedback. And that was a really good experience for me to go, okay, so if someone says I've done something wrong or not quite met their value, I don't need to go back to the drawing board. It's just as much about the presentation and the way it's displayed on dashboards as it is the underlying data. So the course and the practical side of that was really good kind of experience for me to start picking those skills up.
Thanks, Joel. Claire?
Yeah, thank you, Josh. Yeah, I mean, I think what Kate said is like really, really true, and it's what we see as well. And I think thank you, Joel, for sharing your experience there. The other thing that we see that learners can really successfully leverage from the Career Accelerator is that all of the sort of assignments they do, or the projects that you do on the Career Accelerator, are based in sort of business situations. And so understanding you might look at sort of some sales data and help a business understand from that sales data, where do they need to put their efforts and their resources in to maximize their sales in the future. So from the career coaching side, we work quite closely with the learners to help them think about, okay, what is the sort of data analytic roles you want to go into? And if you've not got a lot of data analytics experience, so you're maybe the 56% of people on this call who are looking to make a career change, how can you talk about the work that you've done on the Career Accelerator to demonstrate those sort of skills you've had and the impact you've had on the business? And so I think it's, rather than just sort of, okay, I've learned how to use Python, you actually have learned how to use Python, and you then use that Python in a typical sort of business situation. And so I think that's really sort of helpful for our learners. And we see this approach sort of works again and again for the learners to make a difference in the sort of job market.
Lovely. Thank you for sharing that. Niels, you've spoken to countless students and potential students. So from your perspective, who do you think the Career Accelerator is best suited for?
So we actually enroll people with all types of different experience in quantitative years, but also in types of industry and types of roles. And most people that we enroll are people looking to further advance their career or completely change their career with data analytics. And then a smaller percentage of the people that we enroll are more in the beginning of their career, or people looking to get back into their career after having had a career break for whatever reason. It is really suitable for all of these categories of people. The program itself is very much career focused and really focused on the industry relevant skills that you're going to need to successfully advance, change, or start your career or get back into your career with data analytics. And this is really because of the industry relevance, because it's a collaborative model between industry and academics. So you get that direct industry input into this program. But also, it has been mentioned already, but the practical work experience that you build on the program is highly relevant for hiring managers and talent leaders. They'll be looking that you can prove that you have that confidence and competence in working with data, as well as having real world examples to draw upon there. Now, you did also mention briefly about the more holistic approach that we have. We really go beyond just the technical skills. So even though the technical skills are definitely an important part of the work as a data analyst, we also focus on how you navigate the broader business acumen, how you work on your own employability and your personal skills to really support your ongoing career advancement there. And I think this is exactly why we see people with very limited experience with data, they're still able to flourish on this program, because they often have a lot of transferable skills, softer skills that are highly valued by employers, and skills that are highly relevant to be a successful data analyst. Because you can be the technical guru in data analytics, but if you don't have the communicative capacity to convey your message and to do your storytelling and your presentation of the findings that you have and tailor them to the key stakeholders, you're not going to be very successful as a data analyst, even if you have the technical skills to go with it. So you need that holistic skill set added there.
Thank you, Niels. That's insightful. So then on top of that, in terms of, I can see through in the Q&A here, there's a lot of questions around individuals' level of experience, what do they need to be successful. So I guess a bit of a question, firstly for you, Claire, as to what would you say to someone who is unsure or doubting whether they'd be able to achieve their goals in data?
Yeah. Thanks, Josh. I think that would be a totally normal sort of feeling at this stage. If you set yourself a big challenging goal in data or anything, there's going to be that level of uncertainty, doubt about whether you can achieve it. And yeah, so first of all, I would accept that's a totally acceptable feeling to be having. I think, some of the sort of advice and support that we would give is, I think if you're setting yourself a sort of challenging goal in data, I would be really clear about the why you're wanting to do it. You know, what is that underlying motivation? Because whenever you're making a change or you're challenging yourself in this way, there's going to be those moments when your confidence dips or you question yourself. So you need to have that really clear. This is why I'm doing it. This is what I want to do it. So we can keep coming back to that and like sort of get through the more challenging things. Also, I mean, if you're setting yourself a challenging goal, you know, sort of, yeah, it's important that you've done your research as well, that you know that this, you know, say you've got a particular role that you're particularly interested in. Have you researched, have you seen that there's this role actually does exist, or are you a bit ahead of the curve in that industry using data? So you know, to really do your research. And then I think it's really key, and you know, this is where we will often work quite closely with our learners, is actually, you know, breaking these goals down, and to, like, you know, make sure that you're making progress. So, you know, if your goal is that you want to move from one career into a data analyst, you know, be clear about the steps that you need to do. So first off, you need to learn, you know, learn some technical skills. And of course, that's where here the Career Accelerator can help you with that learning the technical skills. You then might need to, as Niels has just been talking about, really understand, you know, those skills that you already have and how does that play into the roles. So, you know, just breaking that goal down helps it become more achievable. And like you can then see that I'm making progress, having that time scale. So you're hitting, you know, the milestones and you're putting the time and effort in that you need to make this goal realistic at that time. And then from a sort of support, you know, you need to have a good support network when you're making a big change in your life. The Career Accelerator, you know, we do provide that support. So we've mentioned that you have a student success manager. You also have a coach, and so the coach really will work with you about really helping you understand what the different milestones are, you know, what is the support that you need, you know, sort of giving you the sort of advice for helping you overcome some of the blocks. I mean, one of the fantastic things about our job is that we may be working with a learner who's making a big change. You know, so I can remember once working with a learner who had they'd done an international relations degree. They had you know, worked in hospitality, but they didn't have any other work experience. And I can remember talking to him at the early on in the sort of program, like, I'm just like, I'm not sure I can do this. This is like so much for me to take on. It's so different from anything I've ever done before. And, you know, then sort of like breaking it down, sort of like week by week, learning the skills. And then, you know, sort of, you know, fast forward when he'd completed his employer project, you know, just like, oh my God, how much have I achieved in this period of time? You know, all the tools, all the skills I was able to bring into that employer project, the difference. So, you know, we get to see these, you know, people with these goals making, yeah, sort of, you know, learning and like making that progress towards reaching their goals and then ultimately reaching their goals. And I'm pleased to say that, you know, he got a role as a junior data analyst. He's since been promoted into another role. But yeah, so, yeah, pull on the support that you need. There's going to be hard moments making that change, but as a career coaching team, your coach is here to support you. You have your student success manager as well, and you have each other on the cohorts. I don't know, Joel might have some views, but there's a community, you know, some people might say I'm really struggling with this bit as well. So, you know, there's that support there from other people doing the course as well. I'll stop there, or else I'll go on for the whole hour. So.
Thanks, Claire. I love those student stories. Joel, anything you want to add there before we move on, just in relation to your peers and who you studied with?
Yeah, so I kind of agree 100% with Claire. The support is always there. If you need help in planning and setting out the goals and what you want to achieve and how you're going to get there will always be someone, either your success manager, your coach, the other people in your projects. There will always be someone to support you. I think, again, like Claire mentioned at the beginning, the why is the really important bit. It will take up a lot of time. It's 6 months of a lot of extra hours, especially if you're already working or studying. There's a lot of time involved. So the why is really important. You have to want to commit to that amount of time and that effort. But if you want to commit and you're willing to, there are always people that are very, very happy to help and good at the help as well.
Yeah, we'll give you as much opportunity as possible to engage and utilize the support that you need to achieve your outcomes, but ultimately it does come down to you as the individual to take those opportunities and utilize what's available to you. Kate, we certainly know, Niels and I know, and Claire obviously, but there's a lot of programs around and a range of different pathways to complete studies specific to data analytics, which in turn can help you enter into the industry. But how does, from your experience, how does formal training from a recognized institution like LSE impact hiring decisions?
It is important. I think whether we're looking at additional courses or degrees, particularly if somebody has studied at a prestigious institution such as LSE, this is always viewed favourably because it is difficult to cut through the market and to identify, the right people for your business. And so organisations, I should say, will quite often use this as a sifting criteria. So, LSE is highly regarded in lots of different industries for that kind of quantitative or numerate, based training, whether, as I say, we're talking about courses or degrees. And so having that in your CV can serve as a signal of competence, discipline, dedication, and particularly if you are studying an additional course whilst you're working. I think for me, as a recruitment consultant as well, it demonstrates, again, somebody who's interested in self-learning. They're likely to want to grow and have the ability to grow quite quickly, which again is really appealing for any kind of employer. They know they're bringing somebody into the business that will have an upward growth trajectory and will bring additional knowledge to the team as they're working and as they're fulfilling their roles. So it is really important. And if I do see that somebody has studied a Russell Group university, or they've done some extra courses at, again, a prestigious institution like LSE, it's a really big green flag for me. And some companies have target schools that they might want to recruit from, so it can give you that preferential advantage. I think, kind of equally it is about how you apply what you've learned in the real world. So I think, if you're already working and you decide to take this course, then you should then take every opportunity to apply those learnings in a real world environment as you're going through the course. And then, if you're coming in as a new graduate or your early stage career, and you're in an interview situation, for example, and you're currently on the course or you've just finished it, even if you haven't had the chance to apply those learnings in a commercial environment, you could still talk very confidently about how you expect to apply those learned skills in a commercial setting. So I think, it gives you a great reference point when you're interviewing for roles. And again, I think really very importantly, it demonstrates those kind of softer skills. It tells people a lot about your character. Joel was obviously explaining it's quite a big decision to dedicate, many hours to this course, and people will take that into consideration when they're interviewing one person versus another who perhaps hasn't done that. So it's absolutely worth doing if you really want to kind of supplement your existing experience or learnings with additional courses. And I think, then beyond that, obviously, you get access to a great alumni network, or, you might have, the colleagues or peers that you've been working with. You've got a network of people. And in this day and age as well, kind of leaning on that and building on that community is really important. So it's a real positive.
Thanks for sharing that. And then, Niels, from I guess at a high level, what do you feel is unique about this LSE Career Accelerator compared to other programs?
Yeah, great question. Also a question that we often get asked. As everyone's aware, there are a lot of ways to upskill with data analytics. Some of the key points where this program differs from a lot of alternatives is that we get direct industry input in the creation of this program, together with the academic rigor of LSE, really ensures that all of the skills you acquire are very much industry relevant, as well as the holistic approach that we mentioned earlier. But also it's a very much a career-focused program, and you get a lot of individual support on this program. So firstly, for the career-focused part of the program, we've covered all of this, the individual career coaching, building your practical portfolio of evidence, that consists of projects, one of which being a industry-facing project with one of our employer partners. These are all things implemented on the program to maximize your career potential, whether you're changing or advancing. This is going to be essential to, to get have an edge and to differentiate yourself from other candidates. Now, uniquely on this program, we have also included a masterclass series around generative AI, has also briefly been mentioned here. Now, it's not highly technical. It is really more focused on how you implement AI in the workplace and how you effectively use it as a data analyst. And this is also going to become increasingly important to also be AI literate. And this is quite unique for this program, as well as the career coaching. Cannot be underestimated how important the career coaching aspect of the program is. It's a very individual approach. It's really focused on what you need to get to where you want to be. Now, this part is also usually the first thing that gets cut on programs when they're looking to reduce cost. We have chosen not to do that. You get extensive individual career coaching. For our current intake, we are offering additional career coaching for up to 12 months. So that's up to 6 months after completing the program, but you start with your career coach as soon as you start the program. And the career coach will work with you until you have achieved your intended career outcomes from the program. And this is also very unique about this program, that we're so confident of the outcomes of the program that we can offer this. Now, I think those are the main important parts, and the AI inclusion and the practical aspects of the program. I think that's where it differs most. Yeah.
Thanks, Niels. Lots of questions coming through, which is great. I've got 1 or 2 more questions for the panel, then we'll get to your questions. I am going to prioritize firstly the questions that are specific for our panel. All the questions that are program specific, Niels will be hanging around longer to get through those for you. So we're going to work through them. There's a lot of questions, but I will prioritize the ones for the panel first. Couple more though. So Joel, in the end, what do you think has been the biggest impact on your career since completing the program?
So I think the practical side of the course has had the biggest impact for me. Being able to work in the group, it's as we'll kind of, I'm sure we talked about, AI is making it easier and easier, as is, YouTube and all the other things available to learn coding languages and learn how to do the technical stuff. Being able to have those soft skills, having access to the career coaches, the success managers who really help you through the course, help you identify your goals, how to achieve them, and develop those soft skills. That's been the biggest difference, I think, for me, that I've noticed when I look at my work before and after completing the course. I wouldn't say that, I was able to learn every single bit of Python syntax that I need on the 6-month course to be a competent data analyst for the rest of my career. That would never be the case. It's always changing, and in any career, you have to kind of keep on top of the technology as it comes through. But I think those soft skills, again, being able to, almost learn how you learn, and carry that forward, as well as communicate and work as a group, has been really useful from the course.
Thanks, Joel. And then from your perspective, if we think about career changes specifically, what advice would you give to someone who's thinking of pivoting into data analytics?
So a little bit like we talked about earlier is the why. Making sure it is the right decision for you. I mean, from my point of view, I moved from engineering to data analytics. They're obviously quite similar in a lot of ways. I had, used coding skills before in engineering, and I really enjoyed it. I definitely felt like I made the right decision. But it's kind of looking at what kind of role you'd like to step into, and then almost working backwards from there. I've always been encouraged to look at, the 5-year plan, because if you can look at something 5 years ahead, maybe that's doubling your knowledge in the next 5 years. That sounds quite possible. If you think about trying to improve your knowledge by 20% each year individually, that sounds quite difficult. So looking at where you want to get to, that kind of end goal, and working backwards from a career change point of view can be really powerful. And then from that, you can decide whether or not the career accelerator is the right way for you.
Thanks, Joel. Anyone else want to add to that before we move on? So any further advice for people that are looking to enter into data? No, cool. So I think, just in the interest of time, we'll get into the questions, and we'll prioritize the ones for the panelists. So there's one here from Catherine. I think Kate, probably you'll be the one to answer this, but anyone jump in terms of your perspective. How is AI changing skills required for data analysts?
Yes, the market is in a state of flux, I think, at the moment, and it is incredibly complicated, and there's a lot of confusion. So I think for the last 18 months, senior hiring teams have been in a state of paralysis. They have not known what to do when it comes to AI adoption. And so what we are now starting to see, thankfully, as we move into 2025, and the Prime Minister's address around AI investment in the UK has really helped this, is businesses starting to think about hiring specialists into their businesses to focus on building internal AI products. Or we see a lot of the big consultancies starting to build large teams of experts who can build repeatable, scalable AI products and solutions, and then obviously servicing their end clients with those propositions. So AI, everybody is going to have to change the way they work, whether it's workflows, whether it's, actually enabling your analytical role in a different way, but AI is going to be part of all of our jobs and all of our lives. I think being AI literate, as Claire said earlier, is going to be really important. And the most, I think, Gen AI experience is great, but it's still so early on. It's difficult to identify where we think the talent gaps are in the market, because it's so new. So I think that having an interest in reshaping your role, or in learning some kind of AI tooling techniques, whatever it might be, is important. And I think articulating that in an interview situation, or if you're going for a promotion or talking to your line manager about it, I think it's important just to demonstrate interest in that. And perhaps if you get the chance to play around at home or do some kind of free courses or something like that, then that's worth doing. But ultimately, the responsibility of AI adoption across businesses lies with leadership. And there is a lot of reorganization going on at the moment, repurposing and reskilling of existing data staff. So we're still in such an early stage of this technical revolution, or technological revolution, I should say. It's really difficult to define what we think the future of this market is going to look like. I think largely we'll find that there are lots of people that are out there in the data science world who have been building AI products, Gen AI products, building large language models for a year or two. And so they are premium talent that are in demand. But for kind of lower level analytics positions, a portion of those roles will be replaced by AI, because you'll have automation. But what we think we'll start to see is, that's going to free up the time of those individuals to do more strategic, creative work rather than a lot of the manual kind of side of things. So I work with many very large enterprise who have 500-600 people working across analytics and data science. And I've been speaking to a lot of the senior leadership within those businesses recently. And they're starting to, as I say, redesign and reshape some of those roles with AI in mind. But we are, as I say, at the beginning of quite a long journey, I think, that.
Sorry, I was left on mute. Thanks for that, Kate. Anything else that anyone wants to add to that before we jump into the next question? Please do jump in now. There's a question here around what role do the career coaches play, basically. So Claire, can you talk a little bit more about how we support students from a careers perspective?
Yes, certainly. So as Josh has mentioned, everyone has a career coach that they work with. What we see is that at the start of the coaching or start of the program, there's a lot to take on. You've got to get understand how the studying's going to fit into your life, and start really understanding what is your goal and what you want to do. So we're looking to sort of give you some support in sort of reflection around, where you're at and what's important to you, and setting your goal, and while you're getting your feet in the program during course 1, and then you'll start working with your career coach, and that sort of time period that you've got access to your career coach will then start from when you move into course 2. We will adapt to anyone who's got urgent needs, but as a career coach, we're there, we're your supporters, we're your sort of cheerleaders, working with you to help you overcome some of the barriers. So the remit that we cover can be very wide, and I think has been mentioned, we understand each of our individual learners' goals and work with them to understand what support is that we need to give them from career coaching to help them reach those goals. So a lot of our learners are looking to move into a new job. So then we will help them understand, what is that job? Where are they going to be playing to their values, their strengths? What are they looking for? And then that whole process of how do I package myself up as a data analyst so people like Kate will be interested in my CV, and sort of get through to interviews in organisations. For sort of people who are already in data, we might take a slightly different approach. Some of those might want a new role, but we will work with them to say, okay, well, where am I wanting to go in my career? What do I need to work on? So sometimes that might be working on some of the more sort of human skills that you need to develop in order to progress to the next stage. It might be sort of broadening your outlook about where your career can go. With sort of a discussion Kate's just had on AI, it might be, okay, what do I need to be doing to be ready for the next opportunities, challenges in my career? So those will take much more of a sort of executive coaching type conversation. So we understand what you want to do and then work with you. The sort of timing of the coaching is sort of mainly driven by you, to be honest, of like when you want the coaching sessions. We have sort of recommended that this would be a good timeline to be working towards if you want to achieve this by a certain date. And as been mentioned, that we recognise that for some people, especially if you're working full time, starting from scratch and learning sort of data analytics, that actually some of our support is better placed after the program's finished. So you've got those skills, you've then got more time to invest in the work that you need to do. So we sort of work with you to personalise that sort of timeline that that you'll do the work in as well. Also, if you're stuck, often people will come and talk to a career coach to understand why they're stuck. Moments of doubt, we can help sort of unpick those conversations. But in generally, we're here to support you. We also have online resources, and we've got sort of workshops that we share with you, and we run sort of group sessions as well when people are looking for jobs. So lots of support.
Lovely. Thank you, Claire. But 10 minutes to go. As I said, Niels will hang around a bit longer if you are able to answer the program specific questions that we have. There are a fair few. do encourage you. A lot of you have posted questions about your unique circumstances, which we love. Highly encourage you to book a time with your enrollment advisor, and they can have that one-to-one conversation with you to see if it's the right fit. The link is in the chat as well. But let's keep rolling here with 10 minutes to go. I think Joel, Niels, you're probably going to have the best insight on this, but would the skills learned in this program be useful for progressing into data science?
I'm happy to step in there. So definitely this program offers a very strong foundation if you do want to step into other areas like data science or data engineering. However, in essence, it is a data analytics career accelerator program. If you, after that, you want to pursue other ways as well, if you want to work towards data science, you can definitely do so. You'll have a very solid understanding of Python and SQL. And the practical applicability of these skills. Don't know if Joel wants to add anything to that.
Yeah, I'd kind of agree. I think the foundation is definitely there. I guess maybe the more advanced technical skills may have to come later on, but the foundation would definitely be there for it.
Yeah, and just to add as well, that we do cover some things on the data analytics program that would strictly be considered data science when it comes to forecasting, predictive modeling, predictive analysis. So there is some gray area there, but yeah, it is definitely a solid foundation. In essence, mainly focused on using data to explain what's happening and basing your strategic decision-making process on what the data is telling you about what's happening and how you can use that to predict the future and certain specific values that you might be looking at to find out if there's any correlation between these.
Thanks,
I'd
Niels. Thanks, Joel.
Also, just I'd also add there's always additional reading as well provided kind of at the end of each module. So if there were specific topics you wanted to understand further or read into further, then there'd be resources available. And again, I'm sure the student success managers would be able to point you in the right direction for even more resources.
Thanks, Joel. Question for Kate, Claire, as well, potentially. Are there many opportunities to be self-employed in data analytics?
It's a very good question. There are. So there is a contracting market out there. The general job market, particularly in data, has been hit really quite badly over the last couple of years. And from what I understand, I primarily work in permanent recruitment, but I have dealt in contract recruitment for a lot of my career. And I believe the contract market was also impacted. However, again, we are at the beginning of a new year and things are looking more positive, generally speaking. And I've spoken to a number of contractors recently who have also seen a kind of uptick in the market. I think within analytics, there's probably a lesser demand for contractors. Professional contracting really is all about highly skilled individuals. And so in the current broad data market, where you'll find real appetite for contractor resources across data engineering, data science, and at the moment as well, AI kind of technical consultancy. So those are the kind of hotspots in the market for contractors. And because end employers will be paying a premium for contractors, you normally are engaged on a day rate and it's normally quite high. So I think broader analytical skill, it's perceived that it's far easier to bring those people in on a permanent basis or sometimes even a fixed term basis, which isn't really beneficial for the individual because it's high risk and you don't tend to get a premium on the salary. So my kind of straightforward advice would be to pursue a permanent career rather than contract. I think it's safer at the moment with the volatility that we're seeing in the market. And I think you can also build your skills to a greater depth when you are permanently employed by an organisation. If you are going to pursue a professional contracting career, you would probably do that at a mid to late stage where you are perceived as, again, a high value proposition for the organisation. So you'd probably have at least 5 years experience. You'd be able to bring some experience to the table. If you're very junior, it's not really cost effective for organisations to engage people on a day rate.
I can sort of also sort of chip in here, sort of really agree with where Kate's positioning. I think it's also thinking about what is that sort of self-employment model you're looking for. So we have had learners who have gone down the self-employment. Sometimes that's working with other people and setting up their own company, so it's not just by themselves. At the lower end of the market, I did last summer have one of our sort of people who is very early on in their career who successfully set her up as a data consultant, but she's not working at the level that Kate's talking about in organizations, but she wanted the lifestyle, she wanted to be based in Spain and have flexibility. So she has used companies like Upwork to advertise her skills, and she has been very successful at getting people to give her contracts and give her work, but it's more sort of short-term contracts rather than the type of work that Kate was talking about, that sort of longer, meaty sort of projects that you'd get as a contractor. But it is definitely an option. But yeah, I think it's also considering what is it that you want to get out of that self-employment. She wanted that work-life balance was her main driver for it.
Thanks, Kate. Thanks, Claire. We've got 2 more minutes before we let the panelists leave. Time flies, and Niels will hang around. There's 1 or 2 more questions. If we can squeeze quick answers in, I think this would be great. Claire, this one's predominantly for you. So if we get to a point with the career coach where we both realize that my goals and aspirations are a bit too far-fetched to be achieved through the program, can I simply drop out, or any refund policy? Niels can talk to the kind of real refund policy side in a couple of minutes. But I think there's an important one to touch on about setting realistic goals and what you can achieve throughout the program, Claire.
Yeah. So in essence, when we sort of like first sort of talk about those goals, and if we think it's going to be really unrealistic, we might have a bit of a challenge about that being the main goal, but for us on the program. But then where we would really concentrate in is, okay, well, what do we need to do to get you on that path for that goal? So it may be getting a sort of stepping stone role that starts giving you that experience that you need to do to then be able to move into that role that you want to do next. So if a goal is really large, then it's like breaking it down about how does this career accelerator help you on that way to that goal overall, and that support.
Thanks, Claire. And then final question here. I would like to know if we would be starting at entry-level jobs, even if we have a decade-long experience in another unrelated field. And secondly, so I guess what we want to know is about transferable skills and how that can impact job opportunities. But also, are there more data analysts in training than required? I'm guessing so from a number of social media adverts. So there, what I'm gathering here from the anonymous attendee is around the demand. So Kate, Claire, might be best to answer this.
Yeah, I'm happy to start. It's really tricky market at the moment because there is a clear appetite and demand for these skills. It's always been a candidate buoyant market, so I think worrying about that is pointless. I think you have to have a clear vision on what your career goal is, and I think you need to be strategic and smart with your time in terms of how you target those businesses and approach those businesses. People like myself can help facilitate that. However, the market is, as I said earlier, very cost conscious. So we're not being engaged anywhere near as much as we would be in a normal market. So a lot of candidates are having to do a lot of the legwork themselves. So if you're making a transition from a unrelated job into data, there should always be some value to your previous experience that you can still bring with you into your transition into a data role. So I think it's you thinking, like Claire said earlier, you need to think about how you package yourself, and you need to be realistic about what your value is in the market and really showcase that. So it's all about how you articulate and how you showcase that value, and that can be the door opener that gets you into the interview. And then there's going to be lots of different criteria as to why a business might hire somebody beyond the technical skills. There'll be cultural fit. There might be a diversity need within the business. They might want somebody that has actually got some complementary experience in marketing, for example, or digital, and they want to move into data. So I think you have to keep a bit of a connection in most cases with what you've done previously. And it is about thinking very smartly and strategically about how you position yourself and being realistic. If you've never worked in data before and you're trying to get a job at Facebook, it's not going to happen. You have to think about the journey that you probably want to go on to get to your end goal. So I'll stop there because we've run over time. I could go on for a bit longer on that. But Claire, did you have any extra points?
Yes, I totally agree with what you say. So often, as Josh pointed out, we work with people to really understand what those transferable skills are, and really understand what the skills are in the jobs that you're attracted to. What we all often see learners who've had maybe 10 plus years in a career and wanting to make a sidestep, it's about understanding what that sweet spot is. So I had a learner who was a deep in chemical engineering and wanting to make that move to data analytics. Now, she had some analytics experience, not a lot, but she ended up in a role working for a petrochemical company, but supporting them in how they're going to use their data to make better processing decisions. And was heavily working with a consultant. It was a really interesting project, but it was combining her previous experience with the data experience. So yes, really conscious of time. Would love to talk more about it. It is possible, but it's really understanding yourself and what you bring, and understanding what that market is for that combination of skills.
That's a good time to end the discussion formally. Niels will hang around and discuss this upcoming slide and the remainder of the questions. But to Kate, Joel, Claire, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining. Hope to have you on again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Yes, thank you.
All right, team. So there's plenty of people still on this webinar. If you've got program-specific questions, Niels still has 30 minutes remaining. If you can't book a time with an EA, that's the next best thing. They'll be able to answer all of your questions. Niels, thank you so much. I'll hand over to you.
Thank you, Josh. So yeah, Josh. Sorry. Oh. So yeah, Josh has already mentioned it, but I strongly recommend booking a session with your enrollment advisor. If they haven't been in touch with you already, there should be a link posted in the chat. You can book a call with them whenever suits you. Just a quick mention of the outcomes-based career coaching package that we're currently offering for anyone that's joining our February 10th intake. That would be up to 6 months of additional career coaching. So in total, up to 12 months of individual career coaching until you actually achieve your intended career outcomes from the program. I mentioned it earlier. The only reason why we can offer this is that we are quite confident of the outcomes of the program. If you do want to benefit from this, the official deadline is the 31st of January. If you can at least get your application submitted by the end of tomorrow, then you can still lock in this additional career coaching package that we have for the February 10th intake. Highly recommend doing so. You're not committing to anything by submitting your application. You can still meet with your enrollment advisor and discuss the program later on, and you can always withdraw your application if you decide not to go ahead. So much so far about the career coaching package that we're offering currently. I will now do my best to go through as many questions as I can. I might skip a few questions that might be better suited to just if it's very much specifically for your individual situation. Definitely recommend just booking a call with your enrollments advisor and they can get into detail about that. First question I'm going to get into is the postgraduate certificate in data analytics. So this is a formal postgraduate qualification, which will only be available to people that have already completed the Career Accelerator program, would be one-third credit bearing towards a master's degree as well. Now, there are some criteria there. You need to score a minimum of 60% on the Career Accelerator program to be eligible for the postgraduate route. And then it would be available to you. Anything less than 60%, and it will be a case that would have to be discussed internally. It's not a definite no, but that wouldn't be an automatic approval for the postgraduate route. As it stands now, the Career Accelerator program, as a standalone program, does deliver all of the skills that you're going to need to step into a data analyst role, even with very limited to no experience whatsoever in data analytics. So the postgraduate route is only for people that actually want to progress further with that as well, but it's not a requirement to be successful with your career advancement, career change, or career start in data analytics. So how many of the estimated 20 hours of work per week are spent in live conversations with professors, and how many am I expected to spend studying individually? That's a really good question. 15 to 20 hours per week is the average that our learners spend on the program. Now, the majority of this learning will be self-paced learning. However, we do have weekly online live sessions and weekly online drop-in sessions live with the course facilitators where you can interact with them. You can ask any questions you might have. And there will also be other live sessions spread throughout each course with industry experts, with the success team, with the career coaching team. These will be spread more sporadically throughout the program, but weekly you'll have 2 one-hour sessions with the course facilitators. And there is a lot of support on the program. Outside of the live sessions, you can always reach out to the course facilitators through the online platform, or also with the success team, you can reach out to them if you have any questions regarding that. If you ever struggle with anything, first thing to do is just reach out to the course facilitator or your individual success manager. Now, the live sessions are hosted by the course facilitators, not directly by the LSE professors. There is material and there is recorded material from the LSE professors on the online platform that will help with demonstrations and lectures that will help you go through the content. But the live sessions are hosted by the course facilitators. Now the teaching style, I think I went through that. Yes, it is a fully online program. Many of our learners are fully employed, have quite busy lives as well. It's very doable on the side of that because the majority of the learning you will be doing on the program is self-paced. It is very flexible when you spend your hours. So many of our learners spend a couple of evenings per week and one full weekend day, for example. You do need that intrinsic motivation to study. Otherwise, it's going to be quite hard to keep up with the 15 to 20 hours per week. But yeah, if you do have any questions regarding the technical stuff, as mentioned, you can always reach out to the course facilitators. They'll be happy to help. In some extreme cases where someone is still struggling with the technical content, even after attending the live session and asking their questions, we do also, in some more extreme cases, also offer individual sessions with the course facilitators just to get you back on track, because the last thing we want is someone to drop out of the program. As long as you fit our eligibility requirements and you are able to commit to the 15 to 20 hours per week, you should be fine on the program. Regarding the eligibility requirements, there's basically 3 ways onto the program. I definitely recommend contacting your enrollment advisor to get into more detail there. But basically, we can look at educational experience, professional experience, or you can take our aptitude test to prove your eligibility through that route. Let's see. So Can data analytics, Python, SQL apply to charities, non-profit sector? Yes, most definitely. The skills you acquire on the program are very universally applicable. You'll also be exposed to various data sets, healthcare data, customer data, advertising data. It doesn't really matter what type of data that you're working with. It's going to be the same technical approach that you're going to have to figure out what the actual problem or question is. How do you then decide what approach you're going to take to for the data, what kind of statistical model will fit best for this, and how do you then also interpret the outcomes, or how do you also clean your data set, and what kind of values are you looking for before you do your analysis, and then how you interpret the outcomes and how you tailor your messaging and your visualization of the data to the key stakeholders, really helping that data-driven decision-making process and strategy building. And kind of regardless of the topic of the data, this is going to be the same type of approach. So yes, you can use it in almost any industry, whether it's finance, public policy making, climate change analytics, or non-profit sector. Definitely very much a possibility to do so. A question here about the next start dates. So yes, our first next intake is February 10th. Highly recommend joining that intake if you are considering the program due to the career coaching package that I mentioned earlier. But this question is about, do we run it after the February 10th as well? Yes, we do. So we offer this program 4 times a year. First next intakes after February being April. Now, does data analytics offer a good opportunity for working internationally? Yes, again here, it is a very universally applicable skill set. We also enroll people from all over the world, from all sorts of industries, many of them with quite significant work experience as well. So it's also a great place to exchange knowledge and ideas and network with people from all over the world. But yes, data analytics, almost any organization, company or government, or you'll find data everywhere. Everyone's collecting it. There's not enough people to competently and confidently analyze the data, but then also have those human skills that we mentioned earlier to be able to convey that message and actually make sure that your insights don't go to waste. It's definitely valued all over the world. So this question is whether it's applicable in finance. Yes, most definitely. Many people that we enroll have a background in finance. Not exclusively, but many of them do. Some are looking to step away from finance. Some are looking to future-proof their skill set with data analytics in finance. So yes, it's definitely very suitable for that as well. So how often do students get in touch with the coaches and the success managers? So if you enroll for our February intake, you will have the outcomes-based career coaching package, which runs up to 12 months or until you achieve your intended career outcome from the program. You can basically book a session with your career coach twice a month. More would be a little bit overkill, and there are things for you to do in between. And so twice a month for the career coaches, and your success manager is more there to make sure you reach the end of the program successfully. So if you're progressing through the program smoothly, you might not have much need for your success manager. But if there is anything at all that happens in work or life that might be preventing you from progressing as intended, first thing to do is to reach out to your success manager, and they'll be there to look into any solutions to overcome any hurdles that you might be facing. And there's really no limit there to booking your success manager. They're there to make sure you reach the end of the program successfully. If already working as a business analyst at Bank of England, would this be a useful addition / diversification? Yeah, sorry, this is more of a personal question that's probably best answered during a phone call with your enrollments advisor. Really depends on your background, what kind of knowledge and experience you have already. In general, yes, data analytics can, if you don't have these skills already, will definitely help you in firstly future-proofing your skill set, but also increasing your career potential. But yeah, definitely recommend booking a call with your individual enrollments advisor so they can go through the details and your experience and see how that might relate to the program. Same for all the other questions that are very specific to yourself. Sorry, same for the other questions that are specific to yourself. I definitely recommend just booking a call with your enrollment advisor. They are there to make sure that you make the right decision and a informed decision, and can tell you more about the program and how It could add to your goals, and if it isn't, then they'll definitely be honest about that as well. Can we use all of the LSE facilities and libraries in person, as this is only an online program? So yeah, if you live in the UK, if you live in the vicinity of London, you can gain access to the LSE library. However, you will not have access to any of the other facilities. It's only the library that you would gain access to, because it is a fully online program. There's not really anywhere to go to. Does the program teach students how to use Power BI, Excel, Python, etc.? So yes, Excel, and yes, Python, also R, SQL, Postgres, SQL databases. Instead of Power BI, we teach Tableau, because Tableau is also one of the co-creators of this program with us. Now, the skills you acquire with Tableau will be quite transferable to Power BI as well. And when it comes to the coding languages, we cover Python and we cover R, but the main focus is definitely Python, and the skills you acquire there will be quite transferable to R as well. So you should be able to pick that up quite easily as well. Now, all of the skills that you learn are very much introduced from a beginner's perspective, as if you've never seen them before, builds up very gradually. And this is why we can successfully help people kickstart their career or change their career with data analytics, even when you have very limited experience with data, because it builds up very gradually. But due to the intensity of the program, you do reach quite advanced skill levels with these technical skills as well. If we enroll in this and follow through, is the industry experience guaranteed, or is there limited numbers of spots available? Yes, this is guaranteed. So the program for everyone consists of 3 individual projects that you complete and 1 final employer project at the end of the program that you will complete in a smaller group of your highly motivated peers. And these 4 projects together will create your practical portfolio of evidence, one of which indeed being a industry-facing project with one of our employer partners. Now, as Josh already mentioned, we work with a variety of employer partners, and it's always great to have one that really aligns with what you're looking to achieve with data analytics. But at the same time, as I mentioned earlier, it is very much a universally applicable skill set to have. So I will have to close this soon. Let me just see here. Okay, I'm gonna have to wrap this up now. I'm so sorry if I haven't gotten to all the questions. I did my best to get through them as quick as possible. But definitely book a session with your individual enrollments advisor. They will have the time to get through all of your questions in detail. Whether you're considering the program now or in the future, definitely recommend getting in touch with them already. And regardless of where you're at in your research phase, they'll always be happy to give you more information on the program and discuss your personal circumstances further. So don't hesitate to book a call with them. That's what they're there for. They're happy to help. Thank you everyone for attending, and thank you for asking your questions as well. Really great questions in there. I wish I could go through all of the questions in detail. But yeah, again, your enrollment advisor will be doing that with you once you book a call with them. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for all the thank yous. Hope everyone has a great rest of the day.